The Warwick School Committee will be starting in 1 minute. Time is now 6:01 p.m. Calling back to order the special meeting of the Warwick School Committee on Wednesday, May 6, 2026. I'm looking for a motion to seal the minutes of executive session. Made by Mr. Testa, seconded by Mr. Wiggins and Ms. Hazelwood. All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 5-0. There were no votes taken in executive session. At this time, I'd be looking for a motion to move approval on the one matter of business before this body tonight. Discussion action, FY27 Superintendent Recommended Budget. This is an open forum and will allow for community questions and answers. Looking for a motion to move approval. Made by Ms. Hazelwood, seconded by Mr. Wiggins. At this time, we will begin to discuss the FY27 Superintendent Recommended Budget. As I stated, we have established this evening's meeting as a public forum, not standard school committee meeting. As part of the discussion here on our budget, the way it will flow, the superintendent and members of his administration will present the fiscal budget for the 2027 fiscal year. Immediately thereafter, members of this committee can ask any remaining questions that they may have that have not been answered prior to today, or questions in general of the administration. At that same time, members of the committee will be able to make motions on any adjustments relative to the budget that they see fit. For those that are new to this, committee member will make a motion to adjust a particular line item by a particular amount. There needs to be a second to move that motion forward, at which time there would be deliberation on that motion made by one of these members on the stage. After the school committee has gone through all of their adjustments as part of this line item, before we take the vote on the total budget, then we would like and welcome public participation. Public participation this night is structured a little bit differently than we typically would have with our regular school committee meetings. Typically, we afford 3 minutes, and there's no back and forth dialogue between the administration and members of the public. Tonight, because we have structured it as a Q&A, members of the public are going to get 5 minutes per person, running continuous clock to be able to ask questions through the chair to the appropriate members of the administration. I just kindly ask, we have public comment slated for 90 minutes. So if somebody comes up and they ask a question that you may have had, to just be cognizant of there's a lot of people here and they might have similar comments or questions or different questions, to just kind of respectfully allow them to move things along if somebody has already asked the question that you might have had. With that stated, at this time it's my honor and privilege to turn it over to the Superintendent of Warwick Public Schools to present his fiscal year 27 budget, Mr. William McCaffrey.
Mr. Chair and members of the school committee, this evening we'll be presenting to you the proposed FY27 Superintendent's recommended budget. I'd like to take a moment to publicly thank the Speaker Sakachi and the Warwick delegation in both the House and the Senate for once again stepping up to the plate for the students of Warwick, advocating for the students, and delivering on funding in the housing aid budget at the State House. Thank you for your support. It's greatly appreciated. I look forward to meeting with the City Council during the week of May 18th, and I thank them in advance for their continued support. The FY27 proposed budget has been developed utilizing the deficit reduction plan created by the Budget Commission and approved by the Auditor General of Rhode Island. This budget is very lean. The core mission of Warwick Public Schools is to deliver high-quality instruction, support student achievement, and maintain a safe learning environment. This budget prioritizes classroom instruction and meeting the basic education plan established by the Rhode Island Board of Education. The total proposed FY27 general fund budget is $203,874,517, representing an increase over the prior fiscal year. The primary drivers of the increases are contractual salary obligations, employee benefits, pension contributions, non-staffing requirements, transportation costs, and out-of-district tuition expenditures. This budget was developed within the fiscal parameters established by the Budget Commission's approved deficit reduction plan. On pages 2 and 3 of the Auditor General's approval letter, he implied that the deficit reduction plan is a management tool and that the plan is fluid. Also, certain expenditure line items do present levels of risk in the plan. He states that such risks may limit the school department's ability to effectively manage cost escalations. His concerns of April 6, 2026 have come to fruition in our recommended budget before you this evening. Please note, I had publicly expressed these same concerns at that time as well. Factors that are impacting this budget. In our FY26 budget, we received 1.545% increase of a local appropriation from the city. Our budget was not fully funded in FY26. At the same time, the city increased property taxes at 3.9%. Secondly, as a result of that, we received no maintenance of effort for the actual spend for FY 2026. Third, we are limited to a 2.68% increase for the FY 27 budget by the deficit reduction plan. At the same time, as I read this afternoon, the city's proposing to increase property taxes by 3.86% on property owners. This doesn't include any other revenue that the city receives in the normal operation of business throughout the year. The reality is that 94% of the budget, salary, benefits, transportation, and out-of-district tuitions, which include special education outplacements, charter schools, CTE, are increasing at rates from 2.5% to 14.25%. This is basic math, and tough decisions have to be made to comply and achieve the Auditor General's approved deficit reduction plan. Please note that the FY 2027 proposed budget reflects a commitment to maintaining high-quality educational program in the face of significant financial constraints. While cost drivers continue to challenge the district, this budget prioritizes students, ensures the continued operation of essential services. I look forward to the review of the budget with you and the public. At this time, I'd like to ask Craig Enos, Executive Director of Finances, to walk us through the FY 2027 budget.
Good evening, everyone. Starting out at the very top, we will talk about the revenue. As the superintendent said, the city appropriation for this year, we are building in an increase of 2.68%. So that brings our total city appropriation request to $147,550,218. We were very fortunate. Not only in January did we see a proposed increase in state aid, but with the recent aid that came out on April 23rd, we also saw a slight bump of $190,000. So that new amount is requested, is shown here in $52,724,299. And then we have our the categories for the miscellaneous, any other fees, rental fees that come in, $1.6 million, and then the Medicaid reimbursements that we receive for all the services that we provide, we increase that up to $2 million. So we're looking at revenue of $203,874,517. Moving down into the 51,000 series, the personnel services and compensation. The total in this section represents the total contractual obligations for administration, WTU, and WISE, in addition to everything else that is salary related. First, account 51,110 for the regular salaries, $106,718,587. We were able, as we've talked about, and as you'll see later on when we talk about the staffing reductions, that shows what the results are. In the substitute line item 51,115, we brought that amount down to $2 million. We are trending very good for the current fiscal year, and we are also going to be greatly reducing, well, to zero, the professional development that staff will be going out of the district for to be paid for by the general fund, and I will address that piece a little bit later on. So that brings, so between everything else, event coverages, athletic stipends, athletic officials, that brings our total personnel compensations to $111,988,587. Moving on to the benefits, to the 52,000 series. For the health and dental insurance premiums, I think as I've stated at previous meetings, we are receiving a 3% increase in health and dental insurance. Both of these increases through our program with West Bay Community Health is excellent, given what we have heard from other municipalities and school districts throughout the state. When we look at the teacher's pension ERSRI for the defined benefit, that rate dropped from 15.1 to 14.75. The state makes those changes each year, so it was certainly good to see that number drop. And also, when you look at the number compared to last year, it seems that the fiscal year 26 budget included amounts that should not have been included, therefore making it higher. And while this certainly is not ideal, we will be able to use any budgeted funds that are left to assist us in covering any other line items. The taxes, the FICA, the Medicare are all based upon the salaries. And then the private pension payment for the WISE, I left that at last year's amount of $2,053,413. That amount came from the actuary who told us what it was that we needed to put in for that amount. I have communicated with the actuary and I'm waiting to hear back from them. So I left the number as it is for right now. We pay 100% of the unemployment insurance when there are claims, so we up that from $90,000 up to $120,000. And then finally, the workers' compensation premium for the employees that have it. I budgeted a 10% increase in that. We don't have the rates for fiscal year 27 yet. The rates take into account prior year's experiences and the claims that have occurred within the last year. So we will have to wait and see. So for personnel services, employee benefits, $49,342,635. Next, moving on to the 53,000 series, which is the professional and technical services. Starting right out at the top, account 53101, contracted services administrative support. With the school violence prevention program grant ending in September, that was how we were funding the director of safety and security. So that $100,000 comes from the grant and now comes over to live in the general fund. We have an agreement where that position is being run out of the Boys and Girls Club. So that's why it's living in here as a contracted service and not up in the 51,000 series. RIDE told us this is where it needs to live for our coding. Account 53212, payment for services for volunteers. That $70,000, that represents the little slight increase for the vows. Program who hasn't seen an increase in a number of years for all the work that they do for us. Account 53218, student assistance. This is not what you think it might be. This represents the students that are in the custody of DCYF that we have to pay the educational services for. Again, this is a coding issue from the Rhode Island Department of Ed. This is where that money lives, that $310,760. Account 53222. What you're going to be seeing throughout my presentation tonight is we were coding things incorrectly. And so as our files were going into the Department of Education for review, they were pointing out the errors to us. So this budget is actually correcting a lot of the errors that we've had in previous years. So this being the first one, so account 53222, you can see in last year we didn't have any funds that lived in there. That's because those funds were allocated down in account 57311, which is where it shouldn't have been. So this is web-based 53222, web-based supplemental services. This is all of the educational software that we use for the students. Okay, so $1,438,051. We have reviewed all of the programs. There wasn't anything that was cut. So that number will cover all of the educational programs that we use, all of the reading programs, the corrective reading programs, anything related to our students and to the curriculum. For account 53301 and 53303, professional development, and for the conferences. This was a reallocation from previous years. because the GemsNet science kits were coded incorrectly to this line item, and actually that amount had to live in the 56,000 series. So that's why that amount is 0. And as I mentioned previously, the only professional development that we're going to be looking at for next year is any professional development that is funded by a grant. So that's why that number in 53,303 is 0. Account 53,406, other services. This is another reallocation. We have outside consultants that we use for our managed services and other technology-related services. This amount, the E-rate program, which is through the schools and libraries division, so we have to apply for funding for that every year. It's a very complicated process that we have to follow. We have a consultant that helps us through it. Due to our increase in promoting the free reduced lunch program, our reimbursement rate for this year increased from 60% up to 80%, which is great. So that was great work for all of us between the technology and the finance team. So that amount that's in the 53,406, that is at net after all of the rebates that we have. Account 53,409. Since the collective bargaining agreements are going to be expiring during the course of the year, you're going to be having some negotiations that start. So I allocated $50,000 to put towards that. When I looked in previous years, it was hard to delineate what was coded because I believe things were coded incorrectly. They were probably coded to the legal services line item, because when we pulled the reports to see about 53,409, the money was just really low. So $50,000 was a total guess on my part. Those of you who have been here for a while, you may have some knowledge and experience that I don't have. And then account 53,502, other technical services. This was also a reclass from 57,311. So we were coding, so 57,311, I'll tell you later, is technology technology software, but it was really meant for floppy disks. That's how old the UCOA chart is. And Ride told us that we really shouldn't be using it, that any of our software, the Google Suite, the Microsoft licenses, Alio, Munis, anything for the operational side of the school department is going to live in the 53,502. So that's why you see a significant increase over the previous year. We do have some programs like Go Guardian Beacon. That as you know, we have the program Go Guardian, and then we have the Beacon portion of it. That was funded by a grant. That grant funding is also ending. So the staff have looked at some other products, so that I think we'll do the same thing, but they haven't made any decisions yet. But we feel that to continue that program is very important, but we're going to see if we can do it, if we can get a product that will do the same thing that's a little more cost effective for us. 53,703 accreditation. So we've had the NEASC visit this year. We're not due for any visits. So that amount there is just the fee for the memberships that we're paying for NEASC for the 2 high schools and the 2 middle schools. And then catering, we just decided to zero that out. We haven't had any expenses in that anyways. So that brings the 53,000 series total to $5,245,795. Moving on to the 54,000 series, which is the purchase property services. This whole section, with the exception of account 54,322 HVAC service contracts, has an increase in it, and that is to reflect the needs that we've been having to fix the newer heating and AC systems that were installed that are past the warranty period, and we also have Hoxie coming on line for next year. But so that pretty much, these line items pretty much stayed flat. So property services, $1,547,484. The next section, the 55,000 series, where we have a majority of our expenses, other purchase services. Starting out right at the towards the top, 55,111, transportation. While our contract with First Student has a 5.5% increase built in, through the transportation audit that has been ongoing with the Rhode Island Department of Education, in addition to some already bell time changes that we have talked about, not all of them, but some of them, we are hoping to achieve significant reductions in this line item. Our initial anticipated reductions are included here up above. We are awaiting the final results from RIDE. They should be having that to us for next week, and I'll be addressing that a little bit later. Accounts 55,201, 55,206, and 207, our property liability insurance and fleet insurance that we have with the Rhode Island Interlocal Risk Trust. We have seen a 2.4 increase % in those rates compared to last year, so that is really, really good. Account 55,610, tuition to other school districts within the state. This reflects the students that are going to other public high schools for education within the state. This increase reflects the possible tuition increase and the increase in students. The tuition rates have not been set by RIDE yet. They usually set that towards the end of May. But taking into consideration the graduating seniors and the students that we have going in, we are losing more students. We have about 20 more, adding on to what we already have. So not every district. We have been reaching out to all of the districts to see if they could tell us how many of our students are going. Mostly everyone has responded to us except for a few. And I do believe that that is probably due to our continuing lawsuit that we have with basically all of the districts within the state on the career and tech issue. So no one's really in the market to give us that information. And then, and also included in that list, there are students who have never even been on the rolls here in the Warwick schools. They've been attending parochial schools, they've been attending charter schools, and so some of those students are just electing to go straight to some other school. Account 55,630, so this has a couple of pieces, this tuition to private sources. There's a couple of pieces here. The big part of that is the tuition to the out-of-district special education schools. As you know, and as I have said repeatedly, that number can fluctuate greatly. I think I've said in previous meetings, we had a student, who moved in, a medically fragile student, one-to-one nurse, one-to-one aide, plus the placement. That's going to cost us over $200,000, not including the transportation. So that really has a significant impact for us. What's also included in here is Running Start. Project Running Start operated at CCRI. So you're all aware how when students graduate, they get to go to CCRI free for the first 2 years, that the state pays it for free. Well, it's free, but it's based upon the backs of the taxpayers, because we pay for that, because Running Start, which allows our seniors to go to CCRI for Running Start, we pay for that. So they can go free for their first year, but in the senior year, if a student elects to go, we are on the hook to take that cost. So that's included in there. That's probably around $170,000. And then also, as you know, we are required to run a GED program, and we run that with CCAP, and that's probably about $70,000. And then finally, to round out the section, 55,660, tuition to charter schools. Again, this rate has not been established yet by RIDE. We've seen a very small increase in students from here going to charter schools. Our charter school enrollment only increased by 4 over last year. So that's not bad. But again, so the slight increase there, that is a guess and a hope. We'll find out when we get the tuition rates from RIDE. So that brings the total for the other purchase services to $31,095,098. Moving on to the 56,000 series, to the supplies. So these are all the supplies that we need in order to run our buildings and our programs. Starting right up at the top for the general supply line item, $1,351,060. The increase in this line represents the movement of the GEMSNet science kits into this line item. Otherwise, we had no increases slated for this line item. 56,201 and 56,215, natural gas and electricity. As we convert our schools over to the electric systems, our use in natural gas is going to decrease, and the electricity is going to increase. We are working closely with the city to ensure that we are locking in on rates for electricity when we need to. The city finance staff in this area have been a great help to us, and so but we are hopeful that as we monitor these rates, that we'll be able to lock in at really good rates. 56,402, library books. For this year, we are proposing no expenses in this line item at this time. There are legislative grant opportunities available to all the schools, and as well, there are a number of schools that have good balances in their Feinstein funds. So that's why we made that account 0. And then finally, account 56,406, textbooks, non-public. We are required to set aside funds for textbooks for students who live here in the city that are attending non-public schools. And each year we are reimbursed a small portion of what we expend, depending upon the year and what it is, if it's an ELA or social studies or science or math. So we get reimbursed once a year for that. So that brings our supply line item to $5,591,797. Moving on to the 57,000 series, property, account 57,301. The director of facilities, so I should state the amount in this current year budget, the $112,966.70, that represents the final lease payment of the trucks that we have been leasing for the last 4 years. It is always good to keep that line item going because our trucks are used daily and they take a beating. However, when the director of facilities approached the superintendent and I to have another lease, we really felt that for this particular fiscal year that we could not include it into the budget, and the plan is to include that in the fiscal year 28. So that's why that budgeted amount is 0. Moving down to 57,305 for the equipment line item. The director of facilities she wanted to purchase a new backhoe. The backhoe that we have is from the 1980s. It's been well used, but it's time that we need to replace that. And while we certainly can't afford to buy a new one, we are budgeting funds so that we can do a lease, that we can do a 4-year lease with an option to buy, with the last year having an option to buy. And then tech-related hardware, account 57,309. Approximately 500,000 of this line item reduction is the device refresh for students. The director of curriculum decided to move a refresh to grades 3 and grade 8 instead of the current grade 1, grade 5, and grade 9. In consultation with the director of technology, we can get through fiscal year 27 without a device refresh and place that budgeted line item in the fiscal year 28 budget. There's been ongoing discussions in the district as to the continuation of the usage of the one-to-one devices versus making them available for testing in the classrooms. But as of now, we are not including the $500,000 for the device refresh. That will go forward to the fiscal year 28 budget. And then finally, as you can see, for the account 57311 tech software, that's where we moved everything up to the line items up above, because we're certainly not using the floppy disks anymore. So for the 57,000 series, we're looking at a total of $268,500. Moving into the final section, 58,000 series, debt service and miscellaneous. This is the catch-all category for all other expenses that we need to record. 58,101, professional organization fees. These are all of the professional fees that we have to pay. This includes Rhode Island Association of School Committees, the Interscholastic League, the School Superintendents Associations, and all of the other professional fees that we pay for on behalf of members of the WTU. 58,102, other dues and fees. These are all of the, if our sports teams are going into tournaments, that's where that lands. Tournaments, field trips, all of that lands in the 58,102 account. So we left that flat at 106,225. And then finally, you're probably looking and saying 58,206, claims and settlements. So there are circumstances where we do have some administrative cases that we don't win. We are not successful, and so we are obligated. In some cases, we have to set aside a certain amount of funds to pay for whatever we are ordered to pay for. So the $60,000 that reflects where we need to land any of those expenses related to compensatory services or any other types of services that we are ordered to provide. And then finally, the 58,401, the real and personal property tax payment. That's the money that we have to owe for the copiers for the lease that we have every year. So that brings our debt service and miscellaneous to $271,436. So with all of those expenses that I have said, that brings our total expenses right now projected at $205,351,332. Our work continues to reduce our expenses. First, we are looking at breakage for retirements. Having a Step 10 teacher with a master's degree in family benefits and hiring a Step 3 teacher with a master's in family benefits, at 18 teachers, we can realize just over $995,000 in savings. Areas such as secondary science, mathematics, severe and profound special education, you're not going to get a teacher for Step 3. Those areas, unfortunately, we're going to have to pay. You're going to have to pay for the Step 10. However, your regular English teacher, social studies, kindergarten teacher, those are areas where we should be bringing in folks in at the lower step. Historically, when you look at the retirements that we've had, it's been in the 30s range. But for this number here, to get us to get our expenses down, we're looking at the number 18, and right now we are at 12. And then finally, as I mentioned, our work in the transportation line item is not finished. When we did the first review of the transportation audit, there was a tier of busing that was not included in the review. So we are waiting. So we provided the auditor with that information, and as I said, we are waiting to get the results from that. As an example, what the audit showed us, and I'm pulling this was an example. I can't remember the school exactly, but say you have a bus that can seat 48 for a couple of days on the afternoon run. When that bus was leaving the school, you only had 2 students riding that bus, right? So there are some route efficiencies that I believe that we are going to be able to achieve as a result of this audit. So if you take into consideration the assumption for breakage and the additional transportation funds that we're hoping, savings that we're hoping to get, those 2 items would total $1,476,815. So subtracting the program, other reductions and assumptions, that brings us to a fiscal year 27 projected expenses of $203,874,517. However, so that would make the budget balanced. However, the one item that we have not been able to address is the $1.1 million repayment to the city for the first year of the deficit reduction plan. Those funds are owed back to the city for covering our expenses. But for right now, it was not able to be included. However, as we achieve additional savings, once the tuition rates come in from the other public schools, the charter schools, once we have more retirements that are confirmed, we will be able to allocate funds towards that repayment line item. Thank you very much for allowing me to talk for all this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Enos. So at this time, school committee will kick off, and I don't know, do you guys just want to work our way this way? Okay. So the first thing I'll say is I'll just make some general comments regarding the budget. And first and foremost, thank you to you, all members of the administration, as well as Mr. McCaffrey, for your hard work on putting this together, crunching the numbers, and I certainly appreciate the past few days, the responsiveness to the 200-plus questions that I would keep sending you throughout the day. With respect to this budget, I know one thing probably is going to stand out to the general public, and that's the deficit reduction plan. It initially had a 2.18% allocation for year one. That's correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so since that deficit reduction plan was approved, and since the school committee met on March 24th, and we had that little 20-minute yes or no back and forth exchange where I threw out expenses and said, do we think it's going to come in higher? And you would speak in the affirmative. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
All right. So since then, the healthcare costs, they went up 3%, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so the healthcare costs went up, and they were 3% higher than what the Budget Commission had planned for. Actually, they were projecting a $1 to $1.5 million savings. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And on that same day, since then as well, the out-of-district tuition has gone up $750,000. Is that correct?
Yes.
So those two items together put us over $1 million. Would that be an accurate statement?
Yes.
Okay. And then, unfortunately, IDEA funding from the federal government, that's decreased by $100,000, correct?
$111,000.
111. I was off by 11. Okay. So, but they planned for like flat contribution from the federal government. Is that accurate?
Correct.
So now I appreciate you and the superintendent and the administration going to the administration, which would be, I imagine, was uncomfortable, and deviating almost immediately from that deficit reduction plan, because a 0.5% increase, which is essentially what you went for, right, from 2.18 to 2.68, comes out to basically $1 million, correct? So it offsets all of that. And the only thing that's been favorable since the 24th, March the 24th, is that the state allocation looks like it went up $100,000, correct?
Correct.
And we're still waiting to see where we stand with Title I, II, and IV federal funding, correct?
Well, no. So we
Do
do
we have
know
that
that.
as-
So we do have a slight decrease in Title I, $32,000. I think so. It wasn't huge. Title II took a slight reduction. We saw an increase in Title III and Title IV. But the biggest hit that we took was the $111,000 in the IDEA grant.
Okay. So,
And just as a point of reference, between the federal grants, you have about 60 people that are funded by the grants.
and I believe when that was presented previously, it was close to like a $4 million figure, correct?
Correct.
And just because the funding goes away doesn't necessarily eliminate the need within the district, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So 2.18, if we passed a 2.18% budget today, would it be safe to say we were probably going to end up in another deficit situation for FY27?
Yes.
Now, at 2.68%, I want to be very clear with the general public, at 2.68% allocation, though it makes the situation a little bit better because that additional 0.5% equates to $1 million, which offsets all those increases that were not captured by the Budget Commission. Although it makes the situation a little bit better, everything else, would it be fair to say, everything else within this budget has to go absolutely on point, or it's likely, more likely than not, we would probably end up in another deficit in this situation?
Yes.
Okay. And this plan has been built on what we would call several assumptions, right?
Yes.
And some of those are high-risk ones, especially transportation, given the cost of transportation. Would that be a correct statement?
Correct.
To eliminate, for my benefit, my colleagues' benefit, and the public's benefit, to eliminate all of those assumptions, what would be the local allocation that should have been?
So we would need an allocation of 3.7%.
So 3.7%. So, you know, when we were going through this budget, a lot of those costs, when we were discussing them, we're really right on point. We're like right there. And it concerns me, and I just want to publicly state that and go on the record that this 2.68, though better than 2.18, it concerns me, especially in a fiscal year where contractually we're locked in, right, with the CBAs, service provider agreements, transportation contract. The situation gets better in FY28 because those we have more flexibility at that time and more control of those situations. But in today, everything here has to go correct. Okay.
Correct.
Mr. Carter, with respect to the restructuring, obviously the budget here calls for a restructuring of Warwick's Early Learning Center.
Correct.
Are we eliminating special ed services or programs?
No, we're doing more classrooms of half day. We're keeping 2 full day programs, and then within our projections, based off of the numbers that we have right now, if you look at it as instead of 2 classrooms and 1 teacher, in terms of like having a 3-hour session in the morning, a 3-hour session in the afternoon. If you look at it as an FTE, just a full-time employee, how we choose to use them is kind of up to us at WELC, right? So if we find that our numbers are incorrect, if we find that there's an increase all of a sudden by the time September comes around, if we find that during the year, because pre-K is kind of a rolling admissions, we should be able to have the wiggle room within the remaining staff to be able to create full-time classrooms. So kind of how that looks can change, it can fluctuate. And what we hope we've done in our projections is be able to cover all the scenarios within the existing number of FTEs that we have. Does that mean that the numbers don't increase throughout the year and we may have to look at another FTE? Maybe, right? But all we can do right now is look at the numbers that we have in front of us and try to do our best to project forward.
Yeah, and I appreciate your response. I also appreciate that some of the data that you sent over. We have a declining enrollment at that school at this time, but as you said,
It's hard to
the
call it.
enrollment can fluctuate up and down,
Right.
and you can have people that could come in mid-year too, right?
Absolutely. And, to call it a declining enrollment is a little bit, I would be misleading you to call it that. I can say that our numbers right now are lower than what they've been at this point in time in past years. Trying to find a trend of exactly how many students we get from year to year who's in pre-K, a little difficult to find a pattern there.
Yep.
So we're just trying to do our best to say this is what we have right now, and hopefully, trying to meet our, the needs here, that we have enough wiggle room and staffing to be able to adjust throughout the year. But there is the possibility that come February, I'm standing here telling you guys there's more kids. Is that possible? Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And special services has been good. I'll just speak to the last 3 years and 5 months that we've been on this committee. The requests come before us, and we usually would approve them.
You guys have been great.
We're not
Absolutely.
going to deny services or programs for children that require them. So the IEPs, all that's been factored into it.
Yes. Yeah, we looked at existing IEPs, and like I said, will those change and fluctuate? Yes. Do we have enough FTEs to be able to absorb that change? As of right now, yes.
Okay. Thank you. So I have no further questions at the moment beyond what you guys have already provided to me. So I'm just going to make one modification to the budget, though. I'm making a motion, line item 56219, custodial supplies. I'd like to transfer $7,000 from that line. I'm sorry, Mr. Enos, I should have asked if you're ready to capture these. It's 56219, custodial supplies. I'm making a motion for a $7,000 transfer to line item 53212, payment services. That, if I could get possibly a second on that, and then I could explain it. Thank you. As was discussed, VOWS has gone 13 years without any increase to their budget within our budget. So they asked for a conservative figure. I think it's respectable given costs have increased. The budget is already calling for a $4,000 increase, but then I'm adding 7 to make it that 11 that they've requested. So I would just appreciate any consideration on that motion. Mr. Wiggins, you had your hand up? No. Mr. Testa, you have anything on that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just so everybody knows, a handful of years ago, one of our former principals actually reached out to other districts to see how they do volunteer, how they do screenings, and many of them do it in-house. And if you do it in-house, I think it was 3 districts all spend in excess of $100,000 to do that. So, I mean, VOWS's allocation has been $66,000 for as long as I've been here. They're a 2-person full-time operation with 1 part-timer. They do yeoman's work. It's arguably the best bang for the buck, I think, in the system. So I would support this.
Thank you. Yeah, they do interesting information when I was looking into the need and everything. 2,200 screenings annually, not only for Warwick Public School students, but also children within the city of Warwick attending some other daycares as well. So they're funded partially by us, partially by the city, and as well as they do a lot of fundraising. So I'd appreciate any other comments on this? Seeing none. Yes, Ms. Kirby-Chapman.
So you're pulling it from the custodial supplies?
Yes.
And that was already kind of overfunded by 7,000?
Actually,
With how lean it is, we're a little bit under our historical trend, but I reached out to finance who built the budget, and I said, if I'm going to take $7,000 from a line item, which one do you feel most comfortable that this could accommodate it? Any other questions, comments? Ms. Hazelwood?
I would like to ask a question to Donna Higgins. This is your budget. All right. Do you feel the 7,000 out of the supplies? Because I see that right now, we're not up to what we had for a budget this year for supplies. We haven't surpassed it.
No, we have not.
So taking 7,000 from next year's budget, do you feel that'll be okay, leave you in good shape? For what we
I
need to
feel
do?
comfortable. I know what I need to do to accommodate the $7,000.
Thank you very much.
Any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And I'll yield at this time. Ms. Hazelwood, the floor is yours.
Mr. Carter, I have some questions for you. Okay, as the special ed director, okay, we've gotten a lot of emails and concerns regarding the special education program at Welk.
Correct.
While I have seen everything that you're going to put in place for the coming year, you also said to me in an email that this situation, you're leaving the room to be fluid.
Yeah, I think I used the word, I'm trying to Steve-proof it, and that I'm trying to make sure that any mistakes I made can be absorbed.
How many students do we have coming into IES next year at Welk as of right now?
Into
What-
IES specifically, I don't know that number. I was looking more in terms of service hours that were beyond a half day.
Okay.
And it's between 12 and 16. To give you kind of a picture, right now, for example, we run what would be called 5 full-day AAP classrooms, each classroom having 6 students in them. That would be for 30, and right now, we have about 12. So to carry 5 sections of AAP full day would be kind of difficult to explain.
Okay. So being that IES is usually a smaller classroom as well, where they have the most intensive
Correct.
emotional needs.
Yes.
What are we looking at for those students next year?
I would love to be able to give you an exact answer, but what I can say is this is, it goes back to the FTE piece, and that if, the team at Welk, and I want to work with them to be able to create the school that they want to have. If we all agree that an FTE needs to be used for a full-day IES, then there's no reason why we wouldn't be able to do that and still, with the existing staff, be able to absorb the remainder of the students at half-day.
Yeah.
If that explains it, I hope I explained
does.
it well.
It does explain it for me. What I'm concerned about is if the children in those classrooms typically, they have very eruptive and emotive behaviors.
Absolutely.
I'm concerned about the other kids in the classroom that they will be
Yeah.
with. And with one less TA, plus the population that will go into, at this point, I'm concerned for the safety of the other children in those classes, and for their needs, the children that have emotional needs as well. So, how much does it cost, Mr. Enos?
Sorry, ma'am.
How much does it cost? What is the cost for a full-time teacher and 2 TAs for Welk?
So a full-time teacher, step 10, master's, family benefits, which is what most of them are, so that's roughly $158,000. And then you have the teacher assistants with their pay plus their benefits. On an average, that's about $66,000. So hang on one second, I'll total that up for
Sure,
you.
but I know the teacher in that classroom right now is not step 10.
So those three together are $290,000.
$290,000?
Yep. That would be for step 10.
And what if step 3, step
Sure.
4?
Yep, hang on one second. One second.
Yeah, no, I'm waiting. While he's coming to that.
Absolutely.
I can see this is going to be quite an expense to keep that.
It is, but if you look at it as the 12 FTEs that we have there, right? And I believe, what was my total number? I believe I had 14 TAs specifically for Welk, with an additional 7 used as a float within the building.
Okay,
With the potential that those floats also, their primary focus would be at Welk, but if need was around the rest of the district, some of them may be sent out to help in other areas of the district.
but they're primarily,
But primarily and housed at Welk was
Okay.
the original piece of the plan. That if we needed to increase a particular classroom to a full day, that
Okay.
we would be able to absorb that within the existing number of teachers that we have, based off of the numbers we have right now, right? And those are always subject to change as pre-K is a rolling admissions.
okay. Thank you, and before I wrap up, I'll take that number for you, and I want you to know something, Mr. Carter. I worked, for everybody, I worked under Mr. Carter. He was my boss. I didn't always agree with everything that you did, but you always made the best decisions for the kids. At the end of the day, I could always say, he's doing the very best for the kids. And you were right. Year after year, your decisions were right. So I have faith in what you are
Thank you.
putting forth. I have a lot of faith in it. I would like to get that number.
So, as an example, so step 4, no masters, individual health, which makes all the difference in the world, 96,196.
Okay.
Okay?
At this time, I would like to make a motion to keep the IES program in place with one TA, being that there will be other floats available.
Give me a second. All right, so we have a
Yes.
motion on the floor. Could you restate it one more time for the 4 of us?
Yes. To add back into the budget, because what we have in front of us was a cut to that program.
Yep.
I would like to keep that program at Welk, full-time classroom, full day for those students.
So is there a second on the motion to discuss it, first and foremost?
I'll second for discussion.
Okay, so I've been advised by legal counsel, you are essentially, if you go back up to the 5100
Yep,
series, you would be putting Mr. Enos, the salary and then benefits in the 5200. So you would be altering the 2.68% contribution. So to not go over the 2.68%, do you have, my question to you would be, do you have any line item reduction to offset that? Because we know we have a 2.68% proposed allocation out of the city as presented in the city's budget today.
I don't. But, Mr. Carter,
Yes.
is there room for that within this budget? Did you see that a full-time teacher could be added back in and we would stay within the confines of the budget you presented?
But the full-time teacher already exists.
Okay.
All right, so if you look at it as right now, 2 full-times, and then I have 10 half, like, not to say half-time, but split, right? AM and PM, 2 different classrooms. If you look at it as sections, so like right now we have 18 teachers, and I
Okay.
believe we have 5 full-time AAP, we have 1 IES, 7 are, and trying to remember off the top of my head here, 7 are integrated part-time, and 5 are an additional IASE, for the lack of a better term, full-time, right? So that was 18. If I use 2, if I knock it down to 12 total, I'd have 2 full-time and 10 part-time, right? But if I just take one person and say, all right, well, you're no longer going to be a part-time AM, PM, you're just going to be a full day, I now have 9 remaining, and right now, our special ed population assigned to Welk for the following year is at about, I think it came out to about 68 or something like that. I think I sent you guys an email that had
Yep.
the exact numbers on it. That can be absorbed
Okay.
by the remaining 9. How that looks, again, I mean, that's going to be, with the team at Welk as to how they want their classrooms to look, right? But is there enough room at this time with enrollment for September, based off of the numbers right now, to be able to absorb that? Yes. Will that be subject to change, and may I have to be standing here in January saying we need to have another another teacher in another classroom? That's entirely possible.
Okay.
I hope I explained that well enough.
Thank you very much. So it doesn't look like I have to add it to the budget.
They would be able, so
Yes.
would you like to withdraw your motion then?
Well, I want to make sure that class is in place, so I'm making an amendment to what's presented to us, for sure. Is
Yeah.
that correct, Mr. Carter?
Yes, all I would be doing is just
You would
doing the FTE exists, and it's just how I assign that person,
All
right?
right.
So that's more of an issue with, HR in terms of how that position gets posted, for a lack of a better term, right? So if I had to change it, then that position has to get posted differently.
Okay.
By saying that I maintain it as an IAS, then it doesn't go up to job fair, it doesn't get posted, it just stays the same.
Once again, I thank you.
So,
All right, so go ahead.
I applaud your creativeness here. You do not have to have a motion on this, because
Okay.
as long as his dollar figure and his dollar figure remain the same here in this
Okay.
scenario,
I just
then
want to
you're all
make
set.
sure, I want it documented, I want it said publicly that those students will get the services they need, although I would never expect less from you, Mr. Carter. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Motion
that's good.
withdrawn?
Motion withdrawn.
Motion has been withdrawn. You get that, Ms. Tedeschi? Good. Do you have anything else, Ms. Hazelwood?
No, I don't, at this time. Thank you.
Ms. Kirby Chapman, talk to us.
Thank you. I know you worked tirelessly on this, and I think you did a great job. And I know that we're all going to be here saying that we don't want a lot of stuff, but it is what it is. Just for my own, wrap my mind, because I feel like we've been on a hamster wheel with specifically a few things. We cut TA because students move on, and then we bring it back in. So do we have a plan for that? So we cut TAs because the students moved on, and then all of a sudden, the next year, boom, we need 8 more TAs. Where does that go with this budget if we're so like treading?
Right, so the teacher assistant reductions either have been written out of the IEP
Right,
already,
which
or
we
are
do.
going to, or those students are graduating.
Right.
When next year comes, you are absolutely correct. It could be a decision of the IEP team once they've followed their proper protocols that are in place, that they're coming before you to ask that they need to add a one-to-one aide. It's just going to happen. We don't have anything like that is built in.
So realistically, we will always sort of be over even what we budget for.
You could. Yep.
Right, so that's just an endless loop. With the computers, that we're not renewing the computers, it's been brought, obviously, to all of our attentions. Are we required by RIDE for kindergarten, first grade, second grade, to have laptops? Have we talked about eliminating that completely? Is that in the horizon? You're going, yes.
I would like to speak, but I'm going to defer to the curriculum director, Dr. Antonelli, at this time.
Sorry.
Thank you. It's okay.
So used to it.
I don't have to do this often, so let me make sure. Okay. So as far as if we are required, I'm not 100% sure on that, but I don't think we're required. I know that Mr. Napolillo and I, the Director of Technology, have had conversation over what that looks like in our elementary schools. I know it's been brought to our attention from parents, and there's research coming out and legislation trying to be pushed through about devices and screen time. So we're trying to plan and be cognizant of that and plan for what's very best for our students. So although we don't have a plan out to everyone yet, we have been discussing what this is going to look like moving forward for our district and for our students. So I don't think pulling technology completely out is in the plan right now, but we are looking at possibly reducing the amount of technology that we have and are exposing students to, keeping technology accessible, so when we do need to use it, it's there, but not having one-to-one for every child in elementary school.
I love that. With the renewal of the computers, we're not doing it every grade. So do we have in the budget, what if, so like my kid's computer is about to die any second now. So is that budgeted where like she still could replace, since we're still in the, she's necessary of everyone to have a computer?
Yeah, that's right. So we'll have devices if we do that K1 and 2. We pull back some devices so that they're no longer one-to-one.
So they were just
But we're going to
switching.
have absolutely intentional computer time in the classrooms, and that'll be some coming back. Our team's really good with using them as a chop shop, so we're going to have parts and that kind of thing, and absolutely.
And that's for next year?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a little dangerous, kind of, I don't want to say kicking the can down the road a little bit, but it is a little bit. Because of that 159 refresh cycle, we have to, it's kind of like what we said about leasing the vehicles. You can't
Right.
not budget for vehicles
Right.
because you're going to get hit. So, I mean, some of our stuff, they expire 2031. I think we're going to be okay. I think we can survive this year, but it is going to make next year, those decisions, we're going to have to pay a little bit more.
Well, that's why I questioned, because my kid has had her laptop since first grade, and then we elected to not exchange them, and hers is about to die. So I gotta imagine if my child's computer is doing that, there must be a lot more.
Yeah, it's about a 4 or 5 year life cycle, doing it
Yeah.
on a 159 or a grade 3 and 8, either way. And you want to ride it right to the end so you get your money's worth,
Right.
but also not have a jalopy in anyone's hands.
So it seems like so that is gonna be an option sooner than we think, to not get rid of, but at least eliminate K through, and then put those computers in the hands of the older kids.
Yeah, it's with the little ones mostly, yeah.
Right.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. For the elephant in the room too, it's been all over the internet, but low student enrollment. Can we talk to that for a second? Are we losing as many students as what they keep saying? That, because I know that's like the number one thing, is like how is our budget still over, but our low student enrollment? Can we just talk that out or
I'll
say it
give
out
you
loud?
my non-educator, when you're looking at the numbers, right? And so when we see, I can tell you that, next year for North Kingstown, we're going to be having 90 students there. So,
crazy.
we had, going to public schools in
Can you just repeat that number, please?
90,
At one school.
Just to now, North Kingston.
just to North Kingstown. Yep. So just to give you So in school year 24-25, we had 147 students going to other public schools. Then in 25-26, this current year, 175. Now for 26-27, for what we know, we're up to 195. So those $8 don't come to Warwick anymore. When in the quick data polls that we did for the rest of the schools, you can sort of see a gradual decline for the elementary schools over from last year to this year, with the exception of a couple of schools. I think Sherman and Park, I think, increased as compared to last year. And Vets. But every other school, when we looked at just that one data poll that we did on the 17th of April, you can see, compared to last year at the same time, that we have lost students.
So it's mostly we're increasing on the elementary level, but we're decreasing on the high school. Did I hear that right? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So families are moving in.
Well,
right?
I would say, from last year, I don't know about for this coming year, so. Okay, well, so I'm probably not the best person to have the elementary chat with. So, but on the secondary side, because I assembled the information, I can tell you that.
And that feels like a snake chasing its tail in the same scenario where lower enrollment, so now we decrease certain classes, so that makes kids want to go to pathways through other schools, correct? I don't know who to address. Seems to be some way we need to solve that, too. All right, that's it. Got it.
Thank you, Ms. Kirby-Chapman. One good point that came out of that was, that's worth noting, is there's two numbers that I always tell people when they look at our enrollment declining. There's the total number of students that are physically entering our buildings, and then there's a much larger number, and that's the total number of students we're financially responsible for. So we hear Mr. Enos talking about children going to other districts, also other educational settings outside of Warwick. They're still on our budget, or within our budget. So just because we have that declining enrollment doesn't necessarily decrease. They don't go hand in hand. So it doesn't decrease the need or lower our budget at all. So, Mr. Wiggins.
Thank you. Just carrying over off of the enrollment, I think we all know too, we lose, and to your point, regarding elementary to secondary, we got to put sports into that element as well, and we lose we lose a lot of our kids to sports, and we need to do a lot more, and hopefully with the new schools and things that are going to happen, that will change. So that enrollment part of it is very important to remember. I mean, that they're not all going. We talk about what Ms. Enos talking about, lawsuits and things of that nature for programs that are the same. If they're the same, why are they going to that other school? They're probably going to another school to play hockey, play baseball, football, things of that nature. So on the enrollment element, I just wanted to roll off of that. And I don't want to continue to lay on the Welk situation, but I do want to say, Mr. Carter, I truly appreciate your transparency during this process. It's very difficult to understand what's happening at a school like that if you're not, obviously you're not in the building. To Ms. Hazelwood's point, we really do need to protect our most fragile children, and we need to make sure that class is taken care of them, and that was very well done by my colleague, making sure that occurred, but also yourself knowing that we can do that, and we can do that without increasing, our budget. So I do want to thank you again, and I know again a little. I'm not trying to blow your head up.
Well, I'll repeat that I did try to Steve-proof it as well, and that any mistakes that I made, hopefully that we're able to absorb that when the year starts, and that if things change during the course of the year, as they often do at a place like a pre-K, that we'd be able to adjust and maybe increase if we have to.
Yeah, of course, and like you said, we've always supported that and would continue to do so. So And going on to the transparency part from the entire administration, from Ms. Enos to Mr. McCaffrey to everyone, answering our questions, text messages, sorry, Ms. Napolo, things like that, just understanding the element of this, because obviously this is my second time going through this. Having the transparency of such an incredible administration, I'm proud to be able to work with you, because we didn't have to wait for answers. So I really, truly appreciate everything that you guys have done. And lastly, for me, the big, I work in the legal field, so I'm gonna apologize for the word assumptions. So the word assumption is a word I don't use in my world, and it's scary, right? So we're talking about a number of 1,476,815 of assumptions. And we need to make those a reality, obviously, right? So, as I am grateful, I think the chair actually mentioned it. I apologize. You started a long time ago, so I forget what you say most of the time, anyway. That we appreciate what the city is doing. Going from the 2.18 to the 268. The idea is, we have to keep in mind that rolling assumption sort of idea that we're assuming this can happen, but we don't know. And I think it's for the general public's knowledge to understand that is the case. We're balanced at this level because we're going off of assumptions. So, so I just wanted to make that.
Before you yield, Mr. Wiggins, Mr. Kane might have a comment to one of your statements.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a quick comment. It comes up through city council, comes up in these meetings all the time about students moving to other districts. CTE is almost always in the same sentence as that. I think Mr. McCaffrey being former director there, myself being former director there, we were blessed to be there to see, pretty much what education is all about, why we went into that. Those programs there, I don't want to put pressure on Director Galligan, but those programs are full. Not to say that we don't have any space. They're well tested. We have agreements with Electric Boat. We do well at Skills USA. We do well in the communities. Inskip Motors regularly hires students from the automotive program. I could go on and on about every program in the building. We just had the CAD program win a competition in Connecticut against schools that are purely engineering schools. So the product that we're turning out is excellent. I would hear it in city council meetings. I hear it in here from time to time. I just think it's important to emphasize that, this isn't for lack of quality programs in Warwick. This is, and I made some of these phone calls over the summer. It was actually one of my first tasks to call a certain district's parents who were going to play sports, and they're pretty honest about why they were leaving. They didn't say there was a better business program or a better engineering program. They said, thank you for your phone call, but we can go anywhere we want, and CT is the avenue we use to accomplish that goal. So.
Yeah. No, and like I said at the beginning, I agree 100%. I mean, we have the best. We're winning everything. We're doing great. I mean, we are a thriving CTE program. What has been created and what is being fostered by now Director Galligan is incredible. And you're right. There are people waiting. I have students that I'm aware that are waiting to get into these programs, and they're itching to get into them. And we lose them for the comments you just made. And I've heard comments themselves to myself, being in athletics. Well, I'd rather just go there. I'd rather just do that. And I can use this program to do that. So, and I know that we're taking strides to stop that, and I know that we're doing things to increase. So, I appreciate everything you do. You did, everything Ms. McCaffrey did, and what Director Galligan is doing as well. I'll yield.
You. I tried to eliminate Director Galligan from the budget, but it wasn't allowed.
It was a 4-1 vote.
Mr. Testa.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I apologize in advance. It might take a little time. Mr. Enos, on some of these UCOA codes, the Budget Commission provided recommendations, right, on what should be cut from this, what should be cut from that. Am I correct?
In a general sense, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And in the past, we had the report that we would call ZBB, which was a detailed report. It would look at every UCOA code, and it would tell us what comprised the code. Right?
Correct.
So you can't make a recommendation to cut a UCOA code unless you know what's in it, unless you know what comprised it. It's like blindfolding yourself, playing darts, throwing the dart against the wall and saying, I won the game. It doesn't make any sense to me. And I know that was part of what you were up against. I'm not going to belabor the Budget Commission. And by the way, 90 kids at NK, based on their population in the high school this year, is about 7%. So it's like a mini city within the high school. General question: this budget is built. None of you guys said what's the FTE count in this budget? How many FTEs are we down? It's built
We
on-
are looking at reducing by, I think the number I have is 38.
So it's 38 total, right?
Correct.
So can you just break it out between WTU and Ys?
Yep, so I have 21 Ys, and then I have one position that's in the district, in the administration, and then 18 members of the WTU.
Okay.
With the caveat, so there are 2 positions in the WTU that are funded by Title II. So those positions are being eliminated, but we're going to be creating new positions under Title II that those WTU members would more than likely come back
So
to.
those will wash out. So
So
would it
those will
really be
wash out.
16? Would it-
16,
Okay.
correct.
All right. You know, with respect to assumptions, every budget's built on it. You can't build a budget without assumptions. The breakage number at 990,000 historically isn't outrageous. We've budgeted more than that in the past. You said you had 12. You built that based on 18, but you said you had 12. Is that 12 into fiscal year 27?
Yes, so that's 12 that has been occurring over the last month.
Okay, so you really need 6 to hit the breakage number.
Correct.
6
Yep.
more.
Which
And
within a
the
couple
likelihood
weeks-
is you might have 10 more,
Correct.
right, based on the story? Okay.
Correct.
So that number can change to the better, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
And with respect, you mentioned about nothing built into the deficit reduction repayment plan. I fully understand that. But I think we can promise that if, for instance, if breakage comes in at, say, $1.4 million, and there's an extra $500,000 in breakage, we would dump that money into that UCOA code, because we
That's where
want
that
to pay
should
them
go.
back.
Yep.
Right? And I would hate to think that someone would think that we wouldn't want to do that. So if the opportunity arises, we would do that. That's, okay. On the WISE pension contribution of 2.3, I know you're waiting for a call back from the actuary. Was the $2 million that we put in last year, was that the ARC? Do you know?
So last year, we did not put in any funds. So that,
No, I thought we did, didn't we? And we added $1 million and the Budget Commission took it out? We had $2 million, we added $1 million, and then the Budget Commission stripped that out.
right, so
If I
we
remember.
didn't, but we did not, last fiscal year, to the best of my knowledge, we did not deposit any money.
Okay.
This year, we've deposited some.
I'm sorry,
and-
this year. I'm talking this year.
And we will
Sorry.
continue to, so,
Okay.
yes.
All right, so once you know what the ARC is, if the ARC is less than the $2 million, then again, to my point about excess and the breakage fund,
Correct.
we would park that into deficit
Correct.
reduction too, right?
Correct.
Okay. Bear with me as I scroll down. This is for, I think, Dr. Antonelli and Mr. Napolillo. All the changes in the tech side of this thing with the miscoding, which made my blood boil a little bit, but that's a different question, different story. So are we talking about not going one-to-one in, say, grades 1 and 2, or have we already made that decision for next year? Because I would support it. I was a big proponent of one-to-one across the district, and the research shows it's not the best thing, especially in those early grades.
Yeah, that,
We're using them
seems
for-
to be
for-
where it's leaning. We've always had a curriculum leads I follow. I can't pull out a Chromebook and then we give out homework, I'm in a lot of trouble, and they can't do it, that kind of thing. So I'm here to support, but I think we are leaning K1, 2.
Yeah, so we've been talking, I've talked to other districts, I've talked to other states about what they're doing, what it looks like, what device usage looks like across elementary and further, and what's happening. So we're looking at pulling 1-to-1 from K2, and that would also help support his device renewal plan of the starting at grade 3, and having maybe like a small bank of Chromebooks left in each of the classrooms so they can utilize it for small group instruction when they have to do their personalized learning, and when we have to do our benchmark testing. But not having Chromebooks go home with those students, not having 1-to-1 in the classroom, utilizing it strictly for those purposes.
Yeah, that's fine. And again, like I said, I would support that because I don't think there's a benefit. Arguably, even at a grade 3, I would just say that would pretty much complicate any DL days, which also I'm not also a fan of either. And, you know, we know that we may be making more photocopies, right? So nothing happens in a vacuum, so then that all falls under you as well. So, okay, I just wanted to be clear on that. Back to the assumptions to you, Mr. Enos. You talked about the savings on trans, and you have it booked here at about 400,000, am I
Yes.
right? Okay, and that's assuming bell time changes? Or bell time changes and the audit?
Both, yes.
Okay, do you have any idea what the bell time changes would be?
No, sir. No, sir. And we really don't, even in terms of the final number for the audit, we still don't have that. The savings could be more, could be less.
Yeah, but-
My sense from what they were saying to us is that we should be seeing that plus. So,
That's from the audit.
from the audit.
So
correct.
predominantly from the audit. So
Yep.
bell time changes would just be extra, correct? And I think if we're not doing the exercise, we should be doing the exercise to see what kind of savings we can wring out if we had bell time changes. Because if we're talking about a 10-minute time, respectfully, I don't think that's an impact. If it's one way or the other, I don't think that's a big impact. So if that's something that can be accomplished, and it can save 6 figures, I don't think it's an inconvenience. It's an inconvenience. No, I don't even accept that it's an inconvenience. So I think that's just something we should pursue with an MOA if we can. Okay, Wise pension was done. Dedicating, that was done. That's done. That's done. Getting close. Getting close. Okay. More of a 100,000-foot thing. I asked about the FTEs because I've said this before, I've said it publicly. 80 plus 85% of a school budget and a municipal budget is salaries and benefits. It's staff. It always is, and it always will be. So, you know, here in Warwick, our staff are paid well. You know, our teachers are paid very well. They are among, if not the highest in the state, and that's fine. I don't begrudge that. And I've said before, what this district needs to do, it's the law of big numbers. We have to control the growth of that and the benefits, right? So healthcare is a perfect example, and I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. We're in a situation right now, we have the same healthcare. We could have 3 people, one administration, one educator, one WISE member, all getting the same healthcare, 2 paying one price, 1 paying a different price, okay? It's grossly unfair, and it'll always be grossly unfair to me. And the issue with, it's real world stuff. So, you know, does our healthcare plan, if everybody was paying the same percentage, and I mean a true percentage, so if the cost of the benefit increases, everybody shares in that pain, right? Because right now that's not the case. So if everybody was paying the same, right, the cost to the district would be less, correct?
Correct.
Right. And I'm not going to ask you for a number, but it would be. Healthcare plans that I'm familiar with from my friends, my family, have deductibles. Does our plan have deductibles?
No.
No. Okay, this is the Roman Catholic Diocese of Providence. So there's a deductible, a calendar year deductible in one of the plans of $3,500 for an individual and $7,000 for a family, or $750, depending on the plan you pick, a $750 deductible and a $3,500 family deductible. My point is, the healthcare plan, I think, needs to catch up with what most people have. And if we can do that, and I understand it's negotiated, I know that, but we have to be reasonable here, because that drives the cost of the plan down too, does it not? Okay.
Yes.
You know, there are some companies that I know of, they have tiered co-pays. At a certain income level, you're paying 20%. At another income level, you're paying 25%. Right? These are all things we need to think about and offer different benefits and everything else, because that's how we're going to control the main drivers of our costs. Because it's all staff, it's salaries, benefits. It always will be, right? I'm not a cutting pay person. I think that's a silly thing. That's just silly. But we can control the growth of those plans. So I think I'm almost done. I'm going to go to, I think it's electricity. Electricity had an increase because Hoxie was coming online, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we increased it $500,000. Last year, I think last year, was that a $350,000 increase?
Yes.
And we had 2 schools come online.
Yep.
So is it the 3rd school plus an expected increase in electrical rates
Correct.
that makes that number? Okay.
Correct.
And I know natural gas was a decrease, but I think that's probably due to the cost of the natural gas, because natural gas has come down.
Correct.
Okay, and is fuel oil, which is a reduction, was the Hoxie system an oil-based system? Are we moving from oil to gas at Hoxie? Do we know? No? Okay. All right. I was just trying to see how those 3 line items tie together. Okay. I think I'm almost done. Technology you did. The breakage. No, I think I'm done. One last thing I'll address to Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter has a semi-iconic status in my household from my youngest daughter. We had conversations about her and her IEPs and how she didn't fit in that convenient little box, right? And I think in talking to you, and I know your dedication to this, I think you see that. And I think you're trying to realize that we just don't put boxes, create boxes and put kids in them, because it's not best for the kids. So kudos to you.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's all I have.
Thank you. And Ms. Hazelwood, I believe, had one more question.
I just had one question about line item 58102, where you had said it's other dues and fees, that field trips could fit into that?
Yeah, so I just said that overall in terms of what would land in that account.
Okay.
Any entry fees for tournaments, any entry fees for field trips, anything that's like a ticket or a price to admit to get in. That's what
I
lands
just
in there.
needed to clarify that, because I know that we have some students at Pilgrim High School, the Future Business Leaders of America, that are set up to go into a conference and a competition at the end of June, and we still have substantial amount left over in this year's budget. So I am wondering, I gave a teacher the wrong information. I just wanted to make sure when I email him back that money is there. It is available. You can use it for field trips. I'm just asking.
Yes, yep.
Okay, thank you very much. I yield.
Thank you, Ms. Hazelwood. And I would just remark my final one, 53417, contracting nursing services. I hope that we can address some of the nursing shortages that we've been seeing.
We signed a contract with Sunburst Nursing Agency, which is kind of an umbrella nursing agency that has several of the other nursing agencies throughout Rhode Island underneath it, with the exception of one company. So it's been helpful to us to be able to provide one-on-one nursing in the cases of, someone's illness, right? The serving nurse has gotten sick or has decided to leave. We only have one company we need to contact. They then branch out to all the other agencies under their umbrella. So it gives us a wider range of being able to fill open positions. So
Great.
it's been helpful.
Yeah, great. I'm just hoping with the additional 98,000, we can continue to, get I know we were short sometimes on the south side of the city, and you guys were trying to share nurses in between, and I hope we can address that with this budget, especially with it being funded at an additional 98,000.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. All right. Do you have something?
I have a question on that nursing line item. Mr. Carter, that's for
That's for one-on-one nurses.
one-on-one nurses, right? Not our own staff of nurses.
Not our own staff. No,
Right,
we have
'cause
one nurse
That's a
per
guess,
building.
too, because
Yep.
that could fluctuate up and down. Okay.
Right.
All right. One more thing while I'm at it.
Oh,
There was
you've already used them all.
There was another assumption on the tuitions, right? So can you let us know once we get those tuition rates for charters?
Absolutely
And
will.
we know what that impact is on the line item?
It's usually around the end of May.
Yeah, okay. And Mr. Kane, to your, somebody mentioned career and tech programs. I agree with everything that has been said. When we're losing kids to other districts for automotive and cosmetology because ours is full, right? I mean, it's a good problem to have, right? So I think a larger conversation, not here, but is, I've heard from parents and others of us probably have too, college track kids in career and tech programs is sometimes it's a tough fit there. So, but that's another topic for another day. So that's it. Nothing else, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Testa. Okay. So at this time, the school committee has gone through our questioning and motions. We're not going to vote on the budget at this minute. Now we turn it over to members of the public. So for those of you that are new here, the podium is down here to my left. You come on down. Please make sure that the microphone is on. State your name for the record when you get going. Individual comments will be respectfully limited to 5 minutes per person, with this portion of the meeting not to exceed 90 minutes. It is the hope of this committee that citizens, committee members, and the administration alike will be respectful of each other's right to speak, tolerant of different points of view, and mindful of everyone's time. This comment period is for any comments or questions relative to the FY27 proposed budget. No other topics to be discussed. Questions must be asked through the chair of the school committee, and then will be assigned to the appropriate members of the school administration. Again, speakers are asked to state their name for the record, and I want to emphasize, please be respectful of the speaker there, whether you agree or disagree with the content of their message. So, Ms. Komar.
How about that? Better? Okay, thank you. Good evening, Superintendent McCaffrey, Chairman Galligan, and the committee members. And Mr. Daniels, thank you for all your hard work. So I had my 2 minutes questions, and I didn't have any comments ready for you. A lot of my questions were answered in the after presentation from Mr. Galligan and Mr. Daniels. And since I'm going to be attending the City Council presentation, and I've been to many of these budget hearings in City Council, a few suggestions for your consideration. Your information you gave afterwards would be really helpful up front instead of going through line item by line item. I think most departments in the city do that. They give kind of like an overview and explain why your deficit reduction plan didn't go into effect this year. That is very disappointing, and the council's not going to like hearing that. And your explanation about why in detail and how close you are, that you're going to be nail biting to be on budget and you could have another deficit this year, they're going to want to know that up front. It was a difficult city council meeting we had because it's all tied into finances, the municipal budget, your budget, and our debt payback. We have to pay our debt, and it's a balance. So you broke the news. It's a 3.86% increase in taxes. We hadn't heard that yet. Is that the figure you gave?
No, we don't have taxing authority, and what we said was it would be approximately 3.7% additional that we would require for local contribution, but we're not getting that.
Okay.
We're passing, or possibly passing this evening, a budget requesting 2.68% in local
Okay,
allocation.
thank you. All
No
right.
problem. Superintendent McCaffrey.
Citing what was in the mayor's proposed budget for FY27. That's his proposed budget for FY27.
Oh, is 3.86?
That's what's online at this time.
Yes, thank you. That's Warwick Beacon headlines. We hadn't heard that yet. So that's one of my comments, is to and put footnotes on those, I'll call it miscoding of line items and the wrong line items. That would be helpful, because that way you see why the numbers decreased or increased. So my other suggestion was, and this has been talked about in the council in the past, consolidating, or sharing, I should say, some city services. And we're not doing a good job of that yet. For instance, the backhoe. We have a lot of backhoes at DPW. If you need a backhoe, we should be able to get one from the city side. Either that, it might be cheaper to hire somebody for some tasks than to get into buying equipment that you really don't do that kind of business. That's DPW's side. So I would look into sharing equipment, services, whatever you can to decrease costs to the taxpayers. I didn't hear any net zero energy. We don't know what the General Assembly's doing. They have a lot of bills up there, and that's like where they're progressing and looking. And they, especially with businesses, there's some legislation for net zero. Net zero means you're not drawing electricity or gas, so you're decreasing those bills, but you put in passive provisions like different kind of windows, different kind of fixtures to decrease your energy, and it's mainly through solar or thermal energy. And I hope we have this in our new high schools, that we can quickly flip over to net zero, because these are brand new schools coming out. And we got to watch the bills coming out of the General Assembly about net zero.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Ms. Komar, we did look at that years ago. We were going to put solar.
30 seconds.
Give her time back. But we were looking to do that at Gorton with the solar over the parking lots, because there was a program that would have done just that. But when we were getting ready to sign that deal, the terms of the deal changed. I think it was state law that changed it, and it wasn't beneficial for us to do that, because we were really looking to have that, but because the parking lots made sense.
Don't mean to rush it, but I'm on the timer here. So my main questions were, and they were answered, that the budget deficit reduction doesn't show up in this budget to pay back the city. And I haven't read the plan. Is that online?
It is online, Ms.
Thank you.
Thank
Because what I thought we might see is a school consolidation plan. And I didn't see money in this budget to study that, hire somebody and study that. I know there's an old one floating out there.
That's time, Ms. Colmar.
Well, the time's kind of now. It takes time to do a study. Respectfully, it takes time to do a study.
No, I'm saying that's time, Mrs. Colmar. That's 5 minutes.
That was 5 minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
Could I get more time if nobody else comes back up, or if there's leftover time?
No, we do 5 minutes per person.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jim Mixner. I want to thank you all first and foremost for the efforts that you all have done on our behalf and for the betterment of our school and our city. But again, thank you. I need some understanding or clarity on the out-of-district expenses that were shown this evening. And correct me if I'm wrong, I thought I saw a number combined of about $17 million. Am I reading that wrong?
Director Enos.
tuition to other school districts, tuition to private sources, tuition to the educational service agencies within the state, West Bay Collaborative, Rhode Island Alternative Academy, tuition to charter schools, $17,452,813.
And how many students? I heard numbers thrown out. They were roughly 175, give or take, students that we outsource to other districts.
The numbers I have, so for charter schools, 193. Currently for other public high schools for this year, 175. Next year, for what we know, 195.
That's all combined, so roughly 500 or so students, give or take?
So let's see, figure 200 charter, another 200 for the public schools, maybe for special ed, for the out of district special ed students, 140 more or less.
So 540.
So you're aiming towards 600.
All right, 600. So 600 students out of district expense cost us roughly $17 million. That number is exorbitant. And so what is our, and shaking your head, what is our cost per student in our district? Is it $25,000, $30,000, give or take?
I want to say our per pupil is around 22,000, somewhere around there. Let me look.
I'm sorry, that number was 21,000, roughly?
Somewhere around there.
So the cost of out of district is roughly $7,000 higher than that. So is there anything being done? I saw that it was highlighted in yellow. It was about the only line items that I saw highlighted, which to me means that that's something that's critically important. And it represents about 12% of our expenses. So what can be done about that? Is there anything to say that we have to be paying these costs to out of, can we say no, that they can't go? Can they be, and how much is our inflow of students? I mean, is there a number that we receive to offset some of that?
If I could just respond for a second. So on the out-of-district tuition costs, one of those line items are for students that require special services that can't be accommodated within district, and that usually comes at a higher expense, which would drive up the per pupil cost by approximately $8 million. $8 million of that is special services related. So that's why it's not a dollar for dollar thing. Special services would be higher. Take Bradley Hospital, for example. To send a student to Bradley Hospital, $80,000 are we at right now for one student?
Yeah. Okay.
So then to the $21,000 for just one Warwick Public Schools.
But many districts are probably feeling that same
Correct.
pinch in some sort. Which districts, is there any analysis been done to say these are the ones benefiting from the students' inflow? I see North Kingstown is benefiting from us to the tune of 90 students. What other districts are there? I bet Charahoe, or not Charahoe, forgive me, Pontiac. What are any of their students coming our way? And if not, again, why do we say we have to pay for that? Why can't we say, no, your education is here in Warwick, you stay here, or you pay on your own like anybody else would?
Ride. Are you talking to the microphone, Attorney Hennies?
Those are state laws and state regulations,
So
unfortunately.
we're paying that out, and we're not receiving in balance what that is. And something needs to be done about that. I don't know what that fight is, but it's wrong in my opinion that these kids, we're losing them for likely sports attendant issues, and it's flat out wrong. But
You have 30 seconds, but I do want to address that. Tomorrow evening at the State House, this school committee has been working very hard trying to address unfunded mandates, and one of those things is the Pathways program. Pathways allowed students to leave the district and go elsewhere, but we offer those programs that they're going elsewhere for. Let's say business. If they go to North Kingston for business, we have business here. We have an award-winning career and technical education center, but RIDE allows it to go. And RIDE is judge and jury in that situation. So if the superintendent wants to file an appeal on that transfer, it goes to the very party that permitted it to begin with.
I see.
So I would agree with you, sir, but tomorrow night at the State House, there is some legislation around Pathways, and if anybody can write in and provide testimony, that'd be appreciated. Thanks for coming out.
Hello. My name is Kate Golbitz. I have been a school social worker in Warwick Public Schools for the past 14 years, and I have had the absolute luck of landing at Welk this school year. The school is an absolute gem. We have a fantastic principal. I am in awe of the teachers and the staff there. The students are supported in such a phenomenal manner. I am hopeful that folks have great trust in Mr. Carter. I'm hopeful that your Steve proofing will prove foolproof. I am nervous. I'm anxious because what I have seen is just remarkable there. I had a whole thing prepared. Miss Hazelwood, you get it. You get it. Pretty much all of my points were check, 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 check. I am very thankful to the gentleman who just spoke before me because he was pointing out the out-of-district costs for our students. Ms. Hazelwood, you were asking about the costs of the IES program at Welk. I also want to put that side by side with out-of-district expenses. Because students in our IES programs are students who go out of district at that extraordinarily high cost. These are students for their own safety and for the safety of others that do need those out-of-district placements. They are the students that lend, higher costs to account number 55630, which was in the $8 million range. The old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. When it comes to Welk IES, I see a program that surely ain't broke. It is much more than not broke. It is phenomenal. It is supported by incredibly wise, learned, compassionate ladies that work together so seamlessly. I do fear having a float because floaters can float away. And for those of you who have ever experienced working with children in IES, you well know that new faces can be triggers for trauma. New faces can exacerbate behaviors. Again, I implore you, Ms. Hazelwood, keep speaking up. I implore you to do that. But I also implore you all to really consider the present costs, the present cuts, and put that right alongside account number 55630. And ask yourself if the present monies, if those present monies are worth sustaining children in our district so as to not increase that account item. I think that's all I have to say right now. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Jacob Medor, Warwick resident, Warwick's taxpayer, and a Warwick educator. Before I get on with the rest of my comments, on the category of sports, over the last 4 years, and I use that metric because each student has 4 years of high school, just at Tollgate, not including Pilgrim, just on one half of the city, we have won a girls volleyball championship, a girls soccer championship, a girls basketball championship, a gymnastics championship, a wrestling championship, a girls hockey championship, a boys hockey championship, and a boys soccer championship. If you count them, that is 8 championships in 4 years, and we are not done with the 4 years yet. So maybe people need to rethink their perceptions on Warwick sports. Regarding the rest of my comments, I preface that they're not directed necessarily at this committee or the superintendent or the administration, but they are directed at the mayor, the city council, and if they are watching right now, I know one of them's in the auditorium, these comments are directed at you. This week is Teacher Appreciation Week, and the situation that this city and this city council and this budget commission has put this administration in, I don't feel appreciated at all. I feel quite accurately the opposite of appreciated. This city needs to value education and needs to appreciate education. Every city rises and falls based on their school system. Not based on the police department, not based on Parks and Rec, not based on the fire department, not based on whatever the mayor's new vanity project is, if it's the ice rink or the bumper cars or the personnel that needs to run the ice rink. And if you want a better example that cities rise and falls based on their school system, think about this. The only city in Rhode Island that has an outdoor skating rink is Providence. I don't think that's what we want to be. Maybe I'm wrong. Each one of you ran to be an advocate for our students, and to fight for our students, our youth, and our community. So I applaud, I encourage you to stand up and not be complicit, especially to a mayor who he willingly shows for you to not be in a balanced budget in the last year. But we have to be in one next year? You can't have it both ways. Why is it okay when one side does it, but not when the other side? So I applaud you. Don't let the mayor continue to use our students as political pawns in his venture to gain more power over the school department. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Charlene Wheeler, and I just have a suggestion after I heard from Mr. Enos on the medical, and especially with it going up 3%. Did we ever think outside the box here in the new contracts that instead of just giving a $1,200 buyback, that you may want to bring that up with just a little bit more? There may be more people that are willing to do this. I don't take medical from the Warwick School Department. I go on my husband's. But that could be an incentive for more people when you told me the difference between a single plan here and a family plan. It's big. And I know medical keeps rising and rising. Just a suggestion that I'm putting out there.
Great. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Tony Grelli, elementary music in Warwick, 28 years. I actually can sing, don't let the laryngitis fool you. I want to take a second to address Mr. Testa's comments previously regarding the 3 different entities in Warwick, the admin, WTU, and WISE. I think he had used the phrase bringing things up to speed, maybe, as far as intimating some sort of like equilateral approach as far as collective bargaining for all 3 groups, or negotiating for all 3 groups, but that's not how collective bargaining works exactly. Every entity has its own give and take with the district. So if one entity has something, the other 2 don't, then they gave somewhere else. And if one of those entities doesn't have something the other 2 do, they must have gotten something else in return for it. That's how negotiating works. So to think about it unilaterally doesn't really seem to fit or work in this situation. So to use Mr. Testa's words to clarify my own point, nothing exists in a vacuum. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Tracy McDermott, Warwick resident, teacher assistant, K1 IES at Warwick Neck. Thank you, Leah, for putting that proposal forward and bringing back IES to Welk. Well, I've known Steve for a long time, Mr. Carter. The thought of eliminating an IES program anywhere, especially preschool, is astounding to me. Those kids, eight of whom are in the Welk program currently. There are 8. I believe typically they start with about 3 or 4 at the beginning of the year. By the end of the year, there are anywhere from 8 to 12 students in that program. Those kids are in that program because of their level of disruptive behavior, aggressive behavior in classrooms where they cannot be integrated. When they are integrated into either daycare settings or classroom settings and their behaviors get so extreme, that is when they come to IES. IES is the last classroom before going out of district. To eliminate any of those programs is going to cost you $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 a student. And there's currently 8 in that classroom. To even cut it to a half day, I'm glad that you discussed a full day program. Those kids need to learn the strategies to be safe with themselves, to be safe with others, to be able to be ready to come into a classroom and learn. We integrate our kids. We have K1, 2, 3, and 4, 5 IES at Warwick Neck. Every single one, we have currently 25 kids in the program in IES at Warwick Neck. Every single one of them are integrated with their peers in a regular ed classroom, either through their specials, art, music, PE, or up in the classroom. Many, if not most, of our students spend at least a half day, if not all day, up in a regular ed setting learning. They, for the most part, are academically on level with their peers. It is their disruptive behavior and their safety that is a concern. IES should never be on a chopping block ever, because where do those kids go? They can't integrate. They're basically cannot function in daycare centers around the city. They are continuously being denied access to those programs. So I don't care if there's 3 kids in that classroom. We can't deny services to those kids. So thank you, Leah, for bringing that back. We can't be discussing IES anymore and eliminations, because as anyone has seen across the district, especially in kindergarten this year, behaviors are through the roof, and there is nowhere to put them. We have 8. There's 8 next door. There's 10 in the other room. We are chock-a-block, and we have padded rooms in each of our rooms. It is a safety concern. And when you also limit TAs, you limit the ability to have safe classrooms, because you need to have, if a student needs to be restrained or a classroom needs to be evacuated, you need to have people on hand to do that. If you want to integrate them into regular ed classrooms, you need staffing to do that. And when you start putting in floats that are all over the district or all over the building, just as, and I don't know her name, had said previously, that is a trigger for a lot of kids. When they have substitutes, when there's strangers in the room, people that they don't know, when we're dealing with aggression, things that we are trained in, not just CPI training, we have advanced CPI training. We have a next level, different course than every other 250 TAs in the district have. We meet weekly to
30
discuss our
seconds.
students. We meet monthly with the preschool program, every SES program, and every IES program in this district on our own time after school, discussing strategies, discussing plans for our students. It is not just a, throwaway program. So that's what I wanted to say about that. Oh, and one last thing. Legally, all of those special needs children that are now going from full day to half day, isn't it not written in their IEP, their service time? We are going from 6 hours now to a half day of 3 hours. Is every single IEP now going to have to be open and parents be met with, because now their service time is being diminished?
Thank you, Ms. McDermott.
Hi, I'm Carissa McGannon. Sorry, I'm nervous. I'm the parent of one of those children in Welk, and I just want to say that program has helped my son significantly. And if there is cutting to that program, I will do everything in my power to make sure that it doesn't happen. His teachers have gone above and beyond to improve his behaviors, and have done everything with and on and off the clock, answered my messages.
Excuse me, I'm going to pause your time for a second. Could you just state your name again?
Carissa McGannon.
Thank you.
Got it. I don't understand how you can say that you don't want to cut teachers' pay, but you do want to cut the teachers. That kind of seems like contradicting to me. My son was actually kicked out of several daycares because they could not fulfill his needs. So I am one of those parents who has had to fight relentlessly for my son to get the education that he deserves. And I know that other parents of children with disabilities can relate to me and know that, you know, they also have fought very hard to get these services, and that they're just going to be wiped away is pathetic to me. I pay my taxes just like everybody else, and my son deserves to have a fair and education and a good education, and just because that takes more services, that's what should be fulfilled. I don't think he should have to suffer because the budget says that it doesn't allow for that. Anybody that wants to come out with me with my child and see what it takes, I'm more than willing and happy to show you that. It's a constant regulation. I have to think about every possible situation that could play out because I don't know if he's going to react and hurt a child, or if he's put into a classroom setting where he's in a 24-kid classroom, what that's going to look like for him. Is he going to be labeled as a bad child because he can't control himself? There's a lot of different things that go along with that. So I just want to say that, like, to follow that woman's point, the Welk cutting and the special ed cutting should not even be an option. It's not fair. I already have fought so hard. I'm continuing to fight for his coverage to get him services through school, out of school, and limiting the amount of positions that are already, you know, very hard to get. It's just going to make it even tougher for parents with autistic children or children with needs to get a full day service. It's very hard when you're working full time and trying to do everything, you know, the right way to get your child what they need, to have a school board say that, well, you can only do 3 hours. Like that it just doesn't make any sense to me. So I just really want you to consider what you would do if you were the parent of a child with needs, and to consider all the time and effort that these teachers put in, and just understand that it does matter, and what they do is unbelievable. It really is. It's changed my child's whole way of being. So I just want to say thank you to all the people who have helped him on his journey, and just please, if there's anything that you take from this, it's please don't cut the funding, because it's beneficial to the children. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sarah Evans, Tollgate teacher. I had a question. What's the revenue for out-of-district kids coming to Warwick?
Mr. Enos.
So the number of kiddos that come and what we get for it.
Not many.
Okay.
I'll say less than 10.
Okay.
Off the top of my head, I can follow up with you.
No, I was just wondering.
Mr. Enos?
Yes, sir.
Students from West Warwick?
Yeah, there's West Warwick as well.
Sorry, yes. So we do have students from West Warwick who attend a half-day program.
Yeah.
I forgot about them. Thank you,
I
Superintendent.
believe there's about 110 students from
I
out of
see them come
district,
off the bus at
approximately.
Tollgate. Yeah.
And is it approximately $1 million at the end of the day? Between the
I'm
West
not sure.
Warwick and the Singletons that come to us?
It could be.
It's approximately.
Have to take a look.
Okay.
Thank you, Superintendent. I
Thank you.
apologize.
Oh,
I forgot.
No, it's okay. Thank you. My other question was to Mr. Testa. You mentioned bell time changes. Is that in regards to the transportation audit that was brought up earlier?
So I'm actually going to turn that over to the administration, either yourself or Mr. McCaffrey.
So I can speak from the audit standpoint. That was one of the issues that the review team suggested to us. From that standpoint. So in terms of how we could tighten up some of the bell times, specifically on the elementary time.
Okay.
So.
Well, as you know, at work, I see empty buses leaving Tollgate. I mean, nearly empty every day, and I've noticed it for years now. So.
And that's exactly what we were seeing. You know,
and when we speak about like the cost of the staff, the FTE, the 85%, this is a people business. So you need people to manage the people. That just makes sense. And to speak to the healthcare that was mentioned, as far as I recall, in the last contract negotiation by the WTU, we did pay more into our health care, and all copays increased. So it's not as though there wasn't any give on our part and take on your part. Thank you. And I would suggest looking into things like busing. There's just more creative, thoughtful ways that administrators could sort out the exorbitant cost of things that we don't need in this district. But what we need is teachers. We need highly paid teachers. So you get more teachers to come in, as most of us are starting to think about retiring. We need the children at Welk to be managed so that they don't go on to elementary school and high school and be a bigger burden. So, these are all things that I think, we need to think about in the bigger terms. And coming after the collective bargaining agreement and healthcare, I think is not appropriate at this time in the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Darlene Netco, 38 years teaching, president of the Warwick Teachers Union. And I'm glad I have 5 minutes, but I think I need more, but I'll try to be quick. All right, so I took notes as the presentation was occurring. So near the beginning of the presentation regarding the educational programs, there was a statement, no educational programs will be cut, referencing the online platforms and such. So I'm hoping that turnitin.com is still in the budget. And I am sure many of my colleagues would like Edpuzzle back in the budget. That was the only cut that the Budget Commission made. They approved everything else. They cut that, worth $27,000. Oh, and they also told the city to take opioid money and pay for our student assistance counselors. That was the grand contribution of our Budget Commission. And also proving that we needed $2.1 million more dollars. All right, if you cut the computers in K through 2, and no one is arguing that computers are wonderful in grades K through 2, but you are going to need to increase the paper budget. They are going to need paper. They're going to need paper for children to write on, and they're going to need paper for teachers to make photocopies of various whatevers. So that needs to increase. There has been a stinginess, a parsimony with our paper this year, especially at the elementary level. I've heard about it all year. Let's see. I had a question about breaking down the FTEs that were being cut. You did mention the numbers. I was just wondering, and you don't have to answer now, but I'd love to know which is the one admin position that was cut.
Do you want an answer? Or
Yeah, what's the one admin position that was cut?
Mr. Enos?
The ELA coordinator.
Okay. We do need one back at some point. I'm not protesting this particular cut, though. Regarding pathways, I'm glad that this subject came up. There is legislation that if a district offers a substantially similar program, then that district does not have to pay the out-of-district tuition. The problem is, once again, RIDE. RIDE gets to decide what is substantially similar, and RIDE will not deem our superior programs to be substantially similar. These districts, North Kingston and Pontigansett in particular, got in on the ground floor of this Pathways program, got approval right away, and did not have to jump through any further hoops. Any district that came and has come afterward has to do more than what these districts have. A previous superintendent used to refer to a program at Pontigansett as the Fame Academy, the music program. We have the exact same music classes. We have the exact same business classes. I told that other superintendent, give me the program of study, I'll make you your pathways. We should have done that back then, and we wouldn't be having this discussion now. But something needs to be done at the State House, and I'm glad unfunded mandates are up again, because this is one of those. Don't tell parents they can send their kids wherever they want to get the sports that they want, and then tell the districts they have to pay. And then the sending districts have to pay their cost per pupil, and as we've already determined, the overall cost rises when you figure in the special education costs, and I am not begrudging any child any service that he or she needs. So if a child requires $800,000 to be educated, then so be it. But don't put that in with all of the other costs and then make Warwick pay more to North Kingston, because we should not be losing that money. Also regarding pathways, I'm glad that Mr. Kane spoke up and Mr. McCaffrey and others about our career center, because our career center is superior to other career centers. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Warwick resident or whatever. Look at the proof is in the awards that they receive and
30 seconds.
and the certificates that they own. A quick comment about consolidation. We had consolidation in 2016 and 18. We closed elementaries, we closed secondaries. Right now, I know the chatter online, look at Scott Elementary. Many of those classrooms are those IESE and IES classrooms and SES that have small numbers. Just food for thought, and there are 67 houses going in on Centerville Road. So
Thank you, Ms. Necco.
that's about Scott.
And slightly disappointed, Ms. Necco, you didn't tell us Greenwood Elementary School, Whitman Middle School, and Tollgate High School graduate.
Well, not Whitman.
Oh, geez.
Winman Junior High.
All right.
Good evening. I'm Frank Galligan, Director of the Warwick Area Career and Technical Center. I wasn't planning on speaking tonight. If I had planned to, I would have worn a suit since the chair made a comment about it the last time. But I do just want to say that as recently as of today, we had submitted some of the final paperwork for a brand new CTE environmental course. So we're further expanding our programs here in Warwick, and I'll be speaking more at the next school committee meeting next week, just providing an update about career and technical education in Warwick. But we're doing amazing things thanks to the faculty and staff that's in that building, and most of all, the kids, the talented kids that we have coming through in the city of Warwick. Next week, we're recognizing at least 25 students that have represented us on the state level and have gone to national competitions and are going to national competitions as soon as the beginning of next month. So there's a lot of great things happening. I do have to say, though, with regards to students going out of district, again, it goes to a lot of things that are tying our hands with regards to the state of Rhode Island's Department of Education. I made a commitment whenever I start a new job to make sure that I leave a place better than I found it. And I do have to say I have big shoes to fill, because I have the privilege of working under Mr. Kane, who was the immediate predecessor of mine as the director of the Career Center. And immediately before him was our superintendent, Mr. McCaffrey. And underneath their leadership, the enrollment grew in those programs. And so I have the big job of ensuring that I carry that baton forward, and I'm determined to do that. But there are a lot of things tying our hands with students leaving the district in what I consider to be inequitable circumstances. And so we as a district are taking steps to address that right now. While I really can't get into the nuances of what we're doing at the moment, I can say that we are looking into taking the state to task on this, because it's just not fair for our city residents to be paying for students to leave our district to go to other districts simply because of better facilities or other things that we can very much provide for here as we continue to move forward with building new high schools and improving the environment for our kids. I just want people to know that we're doing everything we can right now, and we will continue to do that. But I'm very proud of what we're offering, and I do want to just give my thanks to Mr. Kane and to Mr. McCaffrey for setting us up in such a great situation right now. And it's my hope and it's my goal to make sure that we move forward. Thank you.
Mr. Galligan, I would like to add that this year we've initiated litigation on two fronts related to CTE. One is relative to the substantially similar classification for programming. The other area is related to state law concerning the charges for tuition and how it compares to state law as opposed to RIDE policy. One is in the discovery stage. The other matter is nearing a decision from RIDE. But I wanted to let you know that we have two fronts at this point. One litigation relative to substantially similar. The other one is relative to the charging of tuition, where there's a discrepancy between RIDE policy and state law that's been passed relative to tuitions for out-of-district students. And thank you for all you're doing for the kids of Warwick.
Thank you, Mr. McCaffrey. And I am aware of those two things. I just
You've
wasn't
already
sh-
yielded. You go. Thank you.
I just wasn't sure if I was able to
Thank
speak
you,
to
sir.
that. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good evening, Jeremy Langell, Ward 5, Warwick Neck Elementary School. I'm the advocacy chair for the Warwick Neck PTA, was their treasurer for a couple of years, and here every so often. I'm wondering, with the amount of money we're sending to North Kingstown, whether we get to vote in the next school committee election. I missed part of the meeting, so does this budget include the $1 million payback?
It does not.
Okay, good. I think some of our leaders in our city have forgotten that a public school is public education is for the public, right? That's what we're doing here. We're not our children are not finance points on an Excel spreadsheet. I also just want to respond briefly. Again, the school consolidation, it always pops up. Anecdotally, I know at Warwick Neck, that building is packed. And I know I spoke with Mr. Testa and other school members too, that's really just a red herring. So hopefully we can just set that aside and move along. I'd like to know, sorry, trying to read my notes here. I would note here, I'd also like to just put a check mark by not sending laptop home with kindergarten, first grade, and second grade. It's horrible. I spend most of my time telling my children to leave their stuff at school. Don't bring it home. You're not going to use it. So I would look for ways to save money on that line. I would fully support that, in addition to the fact that there's a lot of just really compelling research right now about the downside to screens, especially in middle school as well, right? There's some really important research there. So, and again, just my final comment would be, please pass the budget we need. I think the city council and the mayor needs to see what we need. And then we can go from there. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public wishing to comment? Ms. Bertrand?
Hello, hi, Nicole Bertrand. I'm a special ed teacher at Welk, Oakland Beach. Mr. Carter, I just am a little nervous about going from 5 AAP to 2 AAP. I know the numbers on paper only support 2, but if you walked up and down the hallways of Welk, you'll see children that are not placed appropriately. So that's a huge concern. So my concern is what happens when the AAP teachers take other jobs in the district, and now we have these children that need this level of service.
Mr. Carter, would you?
Yeah, I can't answer like what happens to those people, right? Like that's an HR thing.
Yeah.
You know, and this is a conversation I had with the Welk team today, because I went over there to talk to them, but you weren't there because
I was at a meeting.
Yeah, because you weren't able to be there. But it kind of went along with that conversation that you and I and the rest of the AAP people had about the 1% rule.
Yes.
And for people who don't know, the federal government passed a law that says that no district is allowed to have more than 1% of their student population be evaluated through alternate assessment means. So I've been working with RIDE and with our own AAP group. We just started this discussion, and with our psychologists. I'm sorry, I'm stealing your time too.
No,
though.
no, you're not talking.
All right, I don't want to steal anybody's time out there, but it's important information for people to know. It is a federal law, and right now, in this past year, Warwick was cited by the Rhode Island Department of Ed for being over the 1%. We were exactly at 1.55%. If you take all the students, grade 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 11, there's 4,444 students in Warwick who get tested in those age groups. we had 69 that were alternately assessed. In order for me to get to 1%, I have to remove, I have to get down to 44. And that was just in the year in arrears. Each year, the number of students who are in an AAP classification fluctuates. So for example, Pilgrim at one point had 3 classrooms of AAP, went down to 2, went down to 1, went back up to 2. Next year is projected to be 3. So that's a total of 24 kids AAP just at Pilgrim. The state's response to the question is, what do I do to the students who no longer qualify? Because it's not fair to put them in a general education setting or to put them in an IASC setting, but at the same time, put them in a classroom where their curriculum is an alternate pathway, but then forcing them to take the SATs and RICAS, which they've never been instructed in the material that's in RICAS or the SATs, which poses its own problem because, again, it comes down to the ATSI and the CSI about how our subcategory group of special education students do on the other evaluations. They can't just grow, they have to grow at a certain percentage that the Rhode Island Department of Ed has determined. So we have some schools that are sitting in ATSI right now because of it, and we probably have to increase the number of students that are going to fall into that category, increasing the likelihood that we'll have more students fall into that category. That leads to more ATSI followed by CSI, which is kind of like double secret probation.
I just want to be cognizant of our time.
Yeah, so
Did that
it's
answer
a
your
lot
question?
to it.
No, it's okay.
There's a lot to it,
All right.
and so does the AAP population then decrease at Welk as well because of it, right? So that's a question that we've got to tackle together.
And the AAP group really appreciates your leadership because you have addressed it with us and we are brainstorming together. But I just think from 5 to 2 is a little concerning. But
It scares me too.
It scares me. I would have liked to see 3. I understand the budget, but and we also need to come up with to figure out, because you can't do an IQ test at a preschool level. So that's going to.
Correct.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public other than this gentleman wishing to comment?
Frank
Mr.
Galligan sent me up here to talk to you about, no, I'm just saying. Sean Rainey, Ward 1 resident. I go to a lot of these meetings. Every year I say the same thing. I'm a coach here at Warwick Vets Baseball. I always ask my 8th graders where they're going to school next year. If they say they're going out of district, I ask them why. It's not because we don't have good programs here. Most of it is facilities. Our athletic facilities, especially baseball, is way behind everywhere else in the state. And that's not due to the school department. It's due to the city not spending the money that was allocated to them to redo stuff. I went to a recreation commission meeting, and all of a sudden they have $25 million they're going to find $25 million to redo Mickey Stevens Sports Complex, but we couldn't find the $13 million to help build the facilities at the high schools. So we need, it's not here in the Warwick School Department that we have a problem. It's the mayor and city council need to open up their eyes to what is really happening. Mickey Stevens is going to cost more than $25 million to redo. As we saw with the schools, you open up the land, it's contaminated all over the place. So my idea is the mayor should, if he has $25 million, give $25 million to the schools, let the schools run the baseball facilities, football facilities, let the school department run it. Let them be the new recreation department, because we have a recreation department that really does nothing. So that's just my spiel. As far as the budget goes, though, I do have one request. As a coach, I have volunteered to do stuff for the city and for the schools, especially out here at Warwick Vets, and have been told that I could not do it. So I think maybe the unions need to allow some help, some volunteerism out on the fields. I asked to do something earlier in the year, was told that it was on their list to do. I know they're busy, I know you're short-handed, but I had everything lined up to do the job, and it's still not done. It would have been done on a Saturday. It's not done. It would have saved, it wouldn't have cost the school department any money. Now it's going to cost them labor, materials, everything else. So just in the future, I would take the unions and the administration need to work together and allow, if a coach wants to get a group together to fix the field, let us do it. Just let us do it. I don't know if it's legal, whatever, but let us do it.
Just got to have you stay on topic here on the budget.
Well, it is the budget because it would save the
I knew you were going to say that.
it would
Go
save the school department some money. So just in the future, let us help out. Let people help. And that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rainey.
Mr. Galligan, thank you for your time.
Anytime. Are there any other members of the public wishing to comment? Any other members of the public wishing to comment? Any final, is the officer in the back all set? All right, I thought you were getting up. Okay. Seeing that there are no other members of the public wishing to comment at this time, we will take a roll call vote on the FY27 Superintendent recommended budget as presented. Ms. Tedeschi, if you want to. And as modified by the one motion. If you want to start.
Mr. Testa?
Aye.
Mr. Wiggins?
Aye.
Ms. Kirby Chapman?
Aye.
Ms. Hazelwood?
Aye.
Mr. Galligan?
Aye. 5-0, motion passes. Being that there's no other matters of business. Oh, wait a minute, future meetings. The building committee meeting will be on Wednesday, May 7th, 2026 at 7:30 a.m. Health and Wellness Subcommittee meeting will be Thursday, May 14th, 2026 at 4:30 p.m. The next monthly school committee meeting is next Tuesday night, May 12th at 5:30 p.m. The next policy subcommittee meeting is Tuesday, May 26th, 2026 at 4:30 p.m. And lastly, the next fiscal subcommittee meeting is to be determined. I appreciate all of you coming out this evening. I hope you guys get home safe. Being that there's no other matters of business before this body, I'd be looking for a motion to adjourn made by Mr. Wiggins and Ms. Hazelwood. Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Kirby Chapman. All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries at 8:35. We're adjourned.